From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 1975, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, September 9th, 2015. We begin this week's newscast with the revelation that being an OM in ham radio isn't always just a casual descriptive. For one New York radio amateur, it is quite possibly the highest honor one can achieve in a lifetime on the air. Charles Charlie Hellman, W2RP of Hastings-on-Hudson, New York, was recently declared the oldest living amateur radio operator in the U.S., if not perhaps the globe. The 105-year-old has engaged in 90 years of QSOs, beginning with his first year as a new ticket in 1925. He was 15. The Quarter Century Wireless Association, whose members have all been active hams for at least 25 years, discovered Hellman's unprecedented amateur record quite unexpectedly during a recent update of the group's member files. Webmaster Bob Roski, N0UF, was doing the update and stumbled upon Hellman's listing and learned he was not only licensed and active, but living in New York's Westchester County, just north of New York City. What came next seemed only natural. The association chose to bestow on Hellman an honor that, like Hellman, had no equal, a certificate marking 90 years as a ham. While they were there, they even had time to make a quick QSO.
This is W2RP in Hastings-on-Hudson, New York. How are you copying?
Over.
Over.
5 and 9, Charlie, W2RP. This is L7XM mobile. 5 and 9 for full quieting. Nice signal, Charlie. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon, and you have a wonderful signal. 5 and 9 plus. Can't beat it. Thanks for calling in.
Over.
Over.
Very good. Nice to meet you on the air, W2RP and L7XM. 73, sir.
73, Alex 7M. W2RP signing. 73.
Congratulations, Charlie. A somewhat sleepy repeater near Chelmsford in the UK recently got a gentle wake-up call that set in motion some new possibilities for the Essex repeater group which operates it. The activity on the Danbury repeater, GB3DA, is considered to be fairly quiet when no nets are scheduled. It's perhaps those moments of silence that served as inspiration recently for Kelly Atkins M6K FA during an episode of her recently scheduled online technology radio show, Frequency Cast. Taking a pause from the show on August 27th, Kelly put out a call on the repeater, backing it up with social media shouts on Twitter and Facebook. What happened next was a spontaneous on-air gathering of about a dozen YLs, including Dorothy Stanley M0LMR. Now the women have been talking on the air and off about starting up a regular net for YLs. If you'd like to check out FrequencyCast for yourself, just point your web browser to frequencycast.co.uk. A camping trip among 4 friends and co-workers near Dinky Creek, California turned into a rescue mission, made possible by ham radio. 4 California state prison workers had just finished a ride on their ATVs last month when a hiker approached Avenal State Prison Officer Robert Tuck, seeking help for an injured friend who'd fallen during their trek in the woods. No one had a cell phone, but fellow Corrections Officer Jody Clark, KF6OPJ, had brought along his handheld, and using the nearby 2-meter repeater, put out a call to fellow ham Mike Rainwater, N6YIC, the correctional plant supervisor at Pleasant Valley State Prison, who then contacted the forestry dispatch number and emergency services. Clark also provided the GPS location of the campsite and a description of the woman's injuries, which appeared to be a broken wrist and possible broken jaw. Within the half-hour help was there, the hiker was stabilized and taken for treatment. Had it not been for the ham radio hobby of Officer Clark and Mike Rainwater, the injured hiker could have been left alone for many more hours. And finally this week, a group of military veterans who were getting help readjusting to civilian life made use of a new tool to help ease that transition. Amateur Radio Newsline's Heather Emby, KB3TZD, reports on the effort that took place this past summer at the Eagle's Nest at Sauk Center in Minnesota.
The Eagle's Nest at Sauk Center serves as a halfway house for veterans who have a hard time making their way back into civilian life. 7 members of the Digital Amateur Radio Club based in Little Falls spent a Sunday afternoon in July conducting an introduction to ham radio for the veterans at the Nest. Although many residents expressed interest, scheduling conflicts allowed only a half-dozen veterans to attend. Those that did watched a slideshow and video presentation and participated in a Q&A session. They then progressed to live on-the-air contacts on HF, VHF, and UHF bands, including links via Echolink and All-Star. Operating modes included SSB, FM, and D-Star. Since the event took place only a few weeks after Field Day, the ham radio operators set up portable stations and temporary antennas. The event ran for 4 hours, and the vets were left with brochures, information sheets, and ARRL and Gordon West study guides for their technician and general class licenses. In a few weeks, there may be new hams on the air.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for over 37 years and counting at www.arnewsline.org. With Heather Emby, KB3TZD, and Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.